Radio Hour podcast. I am, as ever, your humble and contrite host, Michael Lundy, and we're going to sit down today with one of the area's best songwriters, one of the area's best guitar players, one of the area's, undoubtedly, one of the best area's banjo players. We're talking about Tanner Bingaman, and we're going to talk about his project, Tanner Bingaman's Pretty Big Garden, and the first album from that project, Everything and Nothing. We sat down with Tanner in Lewisburg at Amami's Cafe, and a really great vibe in that place, and we really do appreciate them letting us sit down and chat with Tanner for a little bit. And we're going to kick things off with the very first track off of Tanner Bingaman's Pretty Big Garden, Everything and Nothing. This is called Untitled number 4, kicking off our little chat with our good friend and epically talented Tanner Bingaman here on the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast.
The universe is an old patient mother to another, and yet another. My self-esteem is a wet, torn paper, and you patch me up. Unlike the others, if I die in Perry County, swear you won't go posting bounty. Lay me down, lay me low, singing old mountain songs, old mountain songs. The universe is a schizophrenic stripper. She's studying astrochemistry and quantum physics. You and I were just random digits. We're studying kitchen kisses, kitchen kisses. If I die in Perry County, swear you won't go posting bounty. Lay me down, lay me low, singing old mountain songs. If I die in Perry County, swear you won't go posting bounty. Lay me down, lay me low, singing old mountain songs, old mountain songs.
Well, we have a repeat customer today on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors. We have Tanner Bingaman here with us, and Tanner, a few months back, we interviewed him as part of Tanjo and Crow with our good friend Alan Combs. But Tanner's got some projects going on, and we want to let you know about them. So we thought we would meet up with Tanner, and here we are at Amami Cafe here in Lewisburg. And this place is a really cozy vibe kind of place. They have fresh roast coffee from over in Sunbury that they feature, and just really great. So I am here at Amami Cafe in Lewisburg with one of the best musicians in the area. And when I say that, I mean that not only is he a technically great musician, but also just his genre, his influences are broad and wide, and to me, that's what makes everything that I've heard so far from Tanner just pop and sparkle, and you just couple that with the fact he's a really great, cool guy. So, without further ado, this is my friend Tanner Bingaman. Tanner, welcome to the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast again.
Yes, thank you. We were in a coffee shop last time and it worked out. So.
Yes, that's right. And they just opened that's PB&J, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they just opened a place up in Williamsport.
Yeah, their food is amazing.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. So we didn't scare you off the last time.
No, that was fun. Alan and I had a good time. we're trying not to rip on each other too much, but we like to do that. So.
I think that's one of the nice things about being in a band and where you just get along with the person that you're in the band with or you're collaborating with, to the point that you're busting on each other and you're having a good time.
Yeah, we go pretty deep, even behind mics in front of really quiet rooms and into each other's. There's things we've said to one another as ground rules. Hey, you can't touch this, but the rest is pretty much fair game. So we like to kind of let it hang out.
Good.
But no, Alan and I, it's kind of, I feel really lucky right now with Tanjo and Crow and with Tanner Bingaman's Pretty Big Garden. Everyone involved musically are now people that I was either friends with before or have become really good friends with. And I think even if the music fizzled out, we would remain friends. And I've been in bands where that's definitely not the case, and I think it makes it harder.
And I think what you just said speaks to what I have found in the 10 plus years that I've been trying to play music in the area, but certainly in the 2 years since I've been doing the radio show and this podcast, is that everybody, and I'll include me in this group, we all seem to get along. We all seem to kind of help each other out. There's some outliers, I got it, but to a person, everybody just seems like everybody's really cool. You would probably want to hang out with most, if not all of them. So yeah. But let's get back. Let's set the Wayback Machine to. And we covered a little bit of this with the Tanjo and Crow, but this is your time. So where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up down the road a few miles from where we're at currently in Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Yeah.
I was born in Reading, raised in Swangle for a while, and then, Mifflinburg most of the time other than that.
How old were you when you moved to Mifflinburg?
Maybe 12.
Okay. All right. So not a huge emotional event, but certainly, you were old enough to wow, new place. And now were you into, when you were born in Reading, when did you get into playing music? I wasn't
playing music until I was 15.
So after you moved to Mifflinburg?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, honestly, it's really fuzzy how all of this started. But I had definitely, I should not have played as intensely the number of sports, and I was total hooligan growing up and always injuring myself. But I had a lot of concussions as a young person, and a lot of my memories pre-20s, pre-18, and my really young memories are super fuzzy.
Oh wow!
Barely remember things unless there's family around jogging memories quite heavily.
Yeah. Now was this organized sports or was this
organized sports? But we also we drove 4-wheelers and fell off playgrounds and stuff. And there's a funny story of me riding the garage door as a 4-year-old, grabbing the garage door handles and riding it all the way to the top until I let go. That ended an emergency trip, and then there's just we could have a 4-hour podcast on all of that. If
so
you
were a typical little boy.
Yes, we were pretty. My brother and I were pretty rough on each other.
Okay.
But, I started around 15, and I don't really remember why or how.
Mm-hmm.
Music was around growing up. My dad played a little guitar. My mom could sing. Some of our extended family on each side, and my cousins on my dad's side, almost all of us are songwriters. I think I'm the only one pursuing it professionally.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of good songwriters on the Bingaman side of my family, which is kind of interesting. And on my mom's side, there's some really good singers and musicians in general. So music was always sort of an appreciated thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my dad got me a used guitar when I was 15, and I think I started playing because of seeing some of my friends' dads be so good at guitar and playing and singing and harmonica at the same time, and just hanging out at campfires and being like, oh man, I still remember thinking, I had a friend named Dylan Culp growing up, whose dad I think you will know, but Yeah, Dylan played really great guitar, and his dad played, old Neil Young songs and played harmonica at the same time and sang. And I remember as like a 15-year-old getting a guitar in my hands and thinking, man, if I can ever play and sing and also, play a little harmonica at the same time, I'll feel like the most accomplished person in the world. And of course, that happens within a few years. Yeah. And then, I feel the opposite of that at the moment, probably, but trying to take things in stride and feel good about the larger accomplishments. But
now you had mentioned mom and dad. Your dad played a little guitar, your mom sang.
A little piano too. My dad played.
You mentioned you had a brother. You're a sibling. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 2 older brothers. My brother Avery started playing guitar and learning around the same time that I did as well. So we we were, when we first started playing and got into like legit songwriter stuff, I think we were both trying to write songs as soon as we could play chords. Mm-hmm. And we started, trying to learn every Ava Brothers tune we could, or Milk Carton Kids. Yeah. We glommed onto like that recent little mini folk revival that was heavily around Mumford & Sons and the Ava Brothers and John Butler Trio and all those.
So we're talking like early 2000s.
Yeah, early. I guess late 2000s and then probably early 2010s.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And a lot of those, Milk Carton Kids are probably still my favorite band at gunpoint.
Yeah. And I'd ask you before we started the tape rolling, I said, are they still playing? And you said, yeah, they just sold out the Ryman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So this is late 2000s, early 2010s, and you started playing. You said as soon as you started learning chords, you started writing. You started writing your own songs.
Yeah, the goal was, I think I introduced Sweet Mary Ann is on this record, and that was the first. I always introduced that as the first song that I wrote that I wasn't embarrassed to play in public. And I was in choir my senior year of high school, and that was, I played that song as part of one of the choir shows as like a solo feature.
Really?
That was the first time I played in front of, it was the auditorium at the high school, probably 200 people or something, and it was the first time I ever played in front
of.
How
long had you been playing and writing before you did that?
I think probably a year-ish, maybe a little more, but something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the song was again what?
Sweet Mary Ann.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This record is cool. It draws from, this new project. I've been really looking at songs as not. I think I had a bad habit previously of just like the Bob Dylan approach of it's the only thing I cared about was getting the song archived for myself and not really taking the time to let things breathe and develop. And this record, this first release from the Pretty Big Garden project, it draws on like a decade of writing, and some of it is stuff that I wrote like right before I started recording, and some of it is really old tunes that have been revisited and recorded to me properly for the first time.
Okay. We're jumping ahead a little bit, but this is so the album's title is not Tanner Bingaman's Pretty Big Garden. That's the project. That's the band.
Yeah, and the album's called Everything and Nothing.
Yeah. So this really is kind of a compilation of your songwriting.
Yeah, it's a lot of. It's about half new material and half stuff that I tried in various ways to get down previously and never worked really. Like I just wasn't happy in the end. Yeah. And this took a long time. This was, I've been to a lot of studios and always have been disappointed with the end result, and also you spend a lot of money. So about 2 years ago, I went down the rabbit hole of becoming my own producer, and then one of my now friends, Tyrus Watson, he's from the same town as I am, maybe 5 or 6 years older, but he's based in Arizona and has become a good producer. So we started collaborating on my batch of songs and doing these. Some of the tunes on this record, I took most of the lead production choices, and some of them he really wanted to get his hands into. And it's been the first around my solo project songs, it's been the first collaboration where I felt like I was listened to properly, and which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like if you go into a studio and someone wants to be a producer, but they really don't care about where you're coming from and also where you're trying to go, there's things that get put into songs that even if it sounds good and things are technically and objectively quote unquote correct, the vibe can be way off and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So.
I want to circle back though because I'm really impressed that you so Sweet Mary Ann.
Yeah.
You wrote and soon after you started playing guitar. Like
I was probably 17, so within the first year to 2 years, I started around 15 or 16.
Sure.
I don't really remember.
And then had the
which,
confidence to go in front of your class and peers and play it.
Well, it was one of those things where, like, I was hanging out with the very few musicians around my age that I knew, and also some older friends and their parents that played music. And I was starting to try and write songs, both my brother Avery and I. And just because of that, we were all attempting to write songs and showing each other stuff. And that was one of those songs that, I remember showing some people. And it was like, you can, if you're very honest with yourself and you're good at reading people, I think you can always tell whether something lands or not. And that was the first thing I wrote that was like, oh, this lands. Like, this is a song.
Yeah.
And there had to have been dozens, maybe 100 or more attempts of songs before that one.
Yeah.
And that's been my process since, really. I throw things at the wall and I throw most of it out.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting, learning curve going through realizing not everything should be kept, and some things are little stepping stones towards something that you're going to really love.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your songwriting, how you approach this, because what I like that is you said I want to see if it lands. Let's parse that out a little bit. What do you mean by it lands? Does that mean like it connects with somebody, or they just like viscerally say, "Man, I like that song"? What do you mean by that?
I think it's probably hard to describe, but you can, and I will give the fair warning that a bar room is not the spot that you should care what people think.
Correct. I agree.
And I have that sort of. I feel like I've had to have that conversation with a lot of close friends and musicians in my life a lot of times. Like, when we're playing this bar gig, it's because we need to make ends meet, and we're also not taking the opinions of the drunk people here seriously.
Yeah,
we're not making music for them.
And that's not a critique of the people who go to bar. I mean, that's just, from a musician standpoint.
Yep.
You're right. The percussionist in our band, soon after him and I started collaborating, he said, "We're not artists. We're beer and wine salesmen."
Yeah.
And when you play a venue like that, that's what you are. So, go.
So my grandparents for sure, and my mom had a big role in. I would show my mom songs that I was working on, and she was. I still say to this day, she always had the best reactions, because if she would always find a point of encouragement and say, "Oh, that thing was really cool," or just a line that she liked, or "That was a cool line," or chord progression.
So she would give you feedback on specific lines, not just on the song in general.
Yeah, but I could always tell when I first started showing people songs, there were people I was close enough to like that I knew them well enough to know, that she's giving a piece of encouragement and saying, keep going, keep writing, you're on to something. Yeah. But she wasn't saying, that's really awesome and amazing, you should put it out to the world right now. She was saying, keep working on it, but in the most helpful way.
That's great.
And my Nina was like that growing up. My grandma, two grandmas on my mom's side, but one of them, my Nina, she was very much like that. Amazing harmony singer, sang in some global choirs and stuff. And she always, really amazing musician. Yeah. But she always knew how to give advice and encouragement in a way that was not ego inflating at all, and it was also very humbling, but it wasn't discouraging either. Yeah. And my other grandma on my mom's side, who I call Grand Bunny, that's who Sweet Mary Ann is about, actually. Aww. Her name's Mary Ann. She was the same way. So it was, I had a lot of women in my life that knew how to give encouragement without it inflating my ego whatsoever, but also without it being discouraging and saying, well, that song was shit, try again.
Right.
And that might have been the baseline of the method or of the message in like the most crude way, but that's never how things really need delivered to someone that's super sensitive and trying to navigate a path of, now my entire living is laying out my rawest feelings in front of a crowd. My songs, none of them are made up, and all of them are about myself or people that are very, very close to me.
Yeah.
And at this release show, I like choked up a couple times. I knew so many people personally there, and my bandmates afterwards told me, I know I was sitting behind you, but I legit cried during seeing this all come together during this song or that song. And it's putting yourself out there, especially when you're writing about very real things. I think it's important for people to keep in mind that there are healthy ways to encourage people along a path.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky.
And I was going to ask you if you realized how fortunate you were at that time to have people that were giving you, that were close and you respected their opinion, giving you constructive feedback.
Yeah, I definitely did not realize it at the time, and I try and talk about it now because and my mom, I've told my mom this, but I've seen the outcome of the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And it's not good. It really doesn't help anything.
Right.
I haven't.
Now, when you say the worst case scenario, I
definitely have artist and songwriter friends that they had people in their lives early on really actively discouraging them.
Oh,
and
wow.
and it was it's kind of like people are gonna do what they're gonna do. You're not gonna even when there's times in my life where I tell myself I'm gonna try not to write for a month or just turn myself off a little bit so I can chill and not stress so much. It doesn't work. There's always gears spinning, and you're going to be what you are.
Right.
So it's
But now on the opposite side of that, and especially with family and close friends, for lack of a better term, they will blow smoke. Oh man, that was so good. And it's like, well, this is like a rough, this is like my first pass at this. So again, that your mom and your family would say, this is good. And I'm actually really impressed that she would parse down 2 lines and give you feedback on that. I think that's huge.
Yeah, there's also there's little when playing songs for someone alone in a room is like one of the most intimate things you can do, and you can gauge how people are feeling generally.
Yeah.
It depends on the person, but there's a level of embarrassment that people get as a listener when they just don't like something, and you can usually feel that in the room. It's you learn to kind of pick up on those things. I will say though, it's not always accurate. Like my partner Lauren, there's songs that I've showed her where I'm just like, oh man, I guess she hated that, and weeks later she's like, oh, why aren't you playing that thing anymore? I'm like, oh, I didn't. I think it's going to go in the trash bin. She's like, no, I loved that. That was
wow.
So not always the case.
Yeah. Now, so obviously you played the song "Sweet Marianne" in front of your class and your auditorium, 200 people.
Yeah.
Were you in bands? I mean, were you playing?
No, I was just playing with friends around campfires.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, it didn't even occur to me that and I never had the thought in high school when I started playing music let's start a band.
Okay.
I don't know why, it was just not. I saw bands as something that professional people with a big enough level of fame did.
Oh, wow.
As that was what they did.
Yeah.
And I, coming from a town of I don't know what it is now.
Yeah.
2,500 to 5,000 people. It's like you don't interact with people that have a big worldview and say to you, hey, this could be a thing. So I didn't really have that around. It wasn't. It just, to be honest, I didn't until college. I had no concept of could start a band around my songs that I'm writing, and it would be fun and it would be a thing I could take on the road and pursue as what I want to do with my life.
So where'd you go to college?
Bloomsburg.
Bluesburg. Okay.
Yep, studied mostly environmental philosophy there, and rock climbing informally without a degree. But yeah, no, I was really tight with the climbing community.
Yeah.
For me, there was kind of a godsend, and that was where I played my first gigs and all that sort of thing. And it became like, started getting asked to be in bands and all that sort of stuff.
Now, I don't envision you being in like the typical garage band or
No, it was always
stuff.
mostly acoustic oriented acts, and I was really into, when I first started playing guitar, I was really into Delta blues, so I loved playing with harmonica players that could hang with that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I picked up a banjo mainly because of the Ava Brothers and John Butler. I just loved so many of their banjo-driven songs, and I didn't dive into the world of folk, old-time bluegrass type music for a very, very long time. I wouldn't even say now that I've dove into that world, I can hang with some of that stuff in a jam setting, but it's not like, I haven't intimately studied Earl Scruggs or anything.
Really?
So, but I've drawn a massive amount of inspiration from that world.
I say really because I have seen you play banjo, and I'm blown away sometimes by the stuff that you're doing on the banjo.
Yeah, thank you.
And you're a Scruggs. I mean, you're a Scruggs style player, but it's not like a typical Scruggs.
Yeah, for sure.
Style.
There's a lot of there's a couple. There's some shredding on this record.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad you said it because I said, how do I describe his banjo approach? And it's almost shredding on that damn thing.
Yeah. That's Alan always tells me stuff along the lines of like you're basically playing with the energy of like a metal guitarist, but on a banjo.
Yeah. Well, I saw you guys down. This was last summer. You were down at Stonehouse down in Williamsport. And I'm like, holy damn.
Yeah.
So are you self-taught? So just back up again. Are you self-taught on the guitar and banjo? Or
banjo was it came along because of like I wasn't introduced to it in the very typical sense of being into like some TV show or like just falling in love with bluegrass music. I don't think I had a ton of exposure to that stuff, even though I now do, and I actively am part of that scene. But yeah, I remember a conversation with my dad in the kitchen. One of his coworkers was over, and we were talking about music, and his friend played saxophone, and we were talking about different instruments we might want to learn. And I said I was going to try and learn banjo after guitar, and my dad kind of laughed. And that was enough for me to be like, okay, now I'm definitely going to learn banjo.
I'll show you.
No, my dad's always been really supportive,
no, I'm just kidding.
But no, I didn't. I got a beater banjo and started. The first band I played banjo with, I just got invited by an auxiliary member to a practice session, and he told me the band leader was super into the Ava Brothers. I just sat down and learned how to pluck along to like a bunch of Ava Brothers songs the day before the tryout, and was like, well, we'll see what happens. I could barely play banjo, didn't know about finger picks or styles or anything. And then I slowly got to folk festivals and bluegrass festivals and into the old time scene, and just people started telling me, oh, that's cool what you're doing. There is a more like standard approach. And for me, I think it was good. I developed all these things trying to imitate sounds that I heard that were the wrong way.
Yeah.
But now I use them all the time.
Yeah.
And I have learned some of the quote-unquote right ways to do things. And it's become definitely a hodgepodge of all my influences.
But I mean, the you look at, the greats. You look at the Django Reinhardt. You look at the Earl Scruggs, the Jimi Hendrix. Just like name your virtuoso person, Segovia. I mean, a lot of them were self-taught. A lot of them pulled things from and to say, oh, that's the right or wrong way. No. What you're doing is the Tanner Bingaman way. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah. There's some right-hand techniques I've developed around. I play both clawhammer, which is the old-time style without finger picks that, largely developed stylistically likely in Western Africa, and then was really developed throughout the Appalachian region with old time and world music. And then I also play three finger, where you wear the finger picks, what's referred to as Scruggs style for the most part. But there were things I knew of both of those as like options, but I didn't have any formal teachers or anything. So I've developed some right hand techniques that I don't see hardly anyone else doing because of not having much guidance. But then I was lucky to have some guidance along the way and could just learn the way everyone else does stuff too.
Yeah, so. and I think that's what makes you so unique in this. And I really encourage anybody that's listening to this to pick up the CD. But if you get a chance to go out and see Tanner or Tanjo and Crow or whatever, get out there and see them, because I've just been impressed every time I've seen you guys out playing.
Thank you. I get the folks. I get a recurring. I take it as a compliment. Maybe it's not, but I get a recurring comment that from people that they'll say, "I've never heard a banjo sound so much like a sitar when you play certain things."
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Cool.
A lot of. And I draw a lot of inspiration from traditional rags and stuff like that.
I mean, you pull everything in.
Yeah.
And then what goes out, and if it connects, like songwriting, if it connects and somebody pulls from it, either something something you intended or not intended, as long as it's positive. Yeah.
Or it ruins their day, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite songs.
Ruins their day, but in a good way. So now you're in college. So you auditioned for this band playing, where you learned the Avett Brothers songs the night before your audition. Was this like a long-term commitment band, or was it just
I would call it just a, kind of weekend warrior type band. We were maybe playing out 20, 25 times a year or something like that. And then I started playing little solo pickup gigs because I was getting asked to. Mm-hmm. And then... that was like a few years went by, and I don't know how deep into this history stuff you want to get, but
we go as deep as you want to go.
I started farming right out of college, working on various small production organic farms.
Okay.
And through that, I got kind of plugged into the very roots, like old-time bluegrass scene, started going to jams, also running some bluegrass jams.
Now, is this around here, or
this was in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania?
Okay.
And then over the course of about 6 years I spent in the farming community, I was in and out of a few bands, in and out of running, hosting jams, filling in for various banjo players, and I've worked on 3 different farms in that period throughout different regions of Pennsylvania. Yeah. Kind of living season to season, 10 months at a time, and then getting on the road most weekends and playing regional shows.
Wow.
And then, it was about 2 years ago after that. Oh, sorry about
That's
that.
Okay.
Listeners. Bumped the mic.
Sorry.
It was about 2 years ago where it kind of, everything musically was getting busy enough that putting in a long week during the season in the sun, and then, playing Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania throughout the weekend.
So you weren't playing again, I know the answer to this question, but you weren't playing like the bars and the restaurants in the Chambersburg, Gettysburg area. You were going out regional.
I was playing kind of everywhere. I was definitely playing the bar, restaurant, brewery scene a lot, but I was also, it's especially the past 2 years, it's been quite active in my head to be. Like, I just did a run to Chicago. I played my first California shows this year.
Oh, wow.
I'm planning another run to the West Coast.
Good.
So I started playing all over the Mid-Atlantic region very purposely. This was not like, at first it was not people coming to me because I'm some big shot. It was me putting myself out there and making a point to get out of town, because I know what happens when you don't get out of town as a young person. If you want to be able to go to various towns throughout the country and put on a show to 50 people, it's a lot of legwork and road time to get there. So,
now I met you through Alan.
Yep.
And when did you and he start?
I think
kinda
late
collaborating?
2022. If
Okay,
I'm not
I
mistaken.
know it was recently.
Yeah. So we got together and we rehearsed for a couple months pretty hard and got a batch of like 30 tunes together quite quick, mostly original and traditional stuff.
Yeah.
And a couple covers that we felt like nobody could do them like we would, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then we, website, press kit, videos, little demo record, fast.
Yeah.
Like we hit it off and we've become good friends, and we were both like, this is the thing to put our energy into.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good, because there's a lot of energy with with Tanjo and Crow.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna play another song from Everything and Nothing, Tanner Bingaman's Pretty Big Garden, and then we're going to talk about that kind of a little bit more in detail. This is bottle to bottle, correct?
Yes.
And you said that this was recorded live
at WITF Studio.
Okay, that's
in Harrisburg.
They're competition. No, they're not. No, we're all in this together. WITF down in Harrisburg, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So tee that up. How that all came about.
Well, WITF does a cool program. I think it's monthly now, maybe twice a month, where they feature regional bands for live sessions.
Oh wow!
So it was one of those live sessions.
Cool. Good.
Yeah. So there will be videos out from the live session. Bottle to Bottle was with a 5-piece band that we threw together for the occasion. So.
Threw together. Yeah, we just threw it together.
Yeah, all friends of mine that are really ace session cats. That don't have to rehearse too much, which is.
So, the song itself, though, where's that?
Oh, sorry.
No. I wanted to hear about the recording because it's kind of unique to the album.
Yep.
But also, I want to hear about the song.
Yeah, Bottle to Bottle came about. It's kind of a bit of a warning drinking song, but I also think of it as sort of a commentary. Both personal and not personal on, the opioid crisis and things around that. That was my headspace when I wrote it.
Okay.
It came about. I was at my buddy Dave Maslin's for a jam, an old time jam actually, and this older lady showed up at like 2 a.m. and I loved her voice, and she just started playing all these old country drinking songs. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those things, like the right person shows up, and the rest of the night we were like, why don't you just lead songs, because this is really fun.
Yeah.
And the next day I remember feeling like I needed a song with the sort of ethos of the tunes she had been playing, and I sat down and tried a bunch of things, but the best, I think I wrote 3 songs that day, and the best one was Bottle to Bottle.
All right. Cool. Yeah. All right. So let's hear Tanner Bingaman from his album Everything and Nothing. This is Tanner Bingaman's Pretty Big Garden, Bottle to Bottle, here on the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast.
All right, let's give it a try. Like I'm dying. It's been a week and 3 days since I went down to the bar room inside to get my fill. Yeah, mama, I loved you, but I'm hiking, I'm buying, gonna hitch down the road unless you'd like to object. Hallucinations are settling in. just becoming them. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. Now don't piss into the wind. Don't go living from bottle to bottle, even when it's your only friend. Concrete jungle spread out to the shore, three-legged dog over a roadside meal. If I should die in Union County, all you fuckers better not show up crying, lay me down, singing old-time songs. Hallucinations are settling in. Isn't me just becoming them? You don't bite the hand that feeds you. Now don't piss into the wind. Don't go living from bottle to bottle, even when it's your only friend. Hallucinations are settling in. Just becoming them. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. Now don't piss into the wind. Don't go living from bottle to bottle, even when it's your only friend. Even when it's your only friend. Even when it's your only friend. Sweet.
Yeah. I like it. Your first F word in WIGF music, so I should feel like I should put a plaque up there.
Of course, Tanner. It would be Tanner. Would be the first one.
Congratulations.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you. That's one of my better achievements. So if you get a placard, send me one in the mail.
I got you, dude.
Don't worry about it.
All right, got it. Bottle to Bottle, recorded live at WITF down in Harrisburg, and featured on Tanner Bingaman's Pretty Big Garden. This is the first collection of songs from that project, correct?
Yeah, this is the first release, and honestly, it's my. This is what all of the Tanner Bingaman songs are going to go out under now, other than some Tanjo and Crow stuff.
Okay.
But this is my. It's very hard to call this a solo project because it's not, but it is for all intents and purposes, it's a solo project.
Okay.
And the kind of renaming Tanner Bingaman's Pretty Big Garden came about from a song, and then it was kind of a brain dump of the whole aesthetic. And for me, it's a really big acknowledgement to the awesome friends and community of people I have that have loved a lot of these songs and just wanted to see me put more of my new stuff out.
Okay. You anticipated my first question because I was going to ask you to parse out, with Tanner Bingaman's Pretty Big Garden.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, you've just collected and nurtured and cultivated all of these collaborators and friends to be in this project.
Yep.
Is that kind of where I'm going?
Yeah, that's the gist, and
Okay.
it's a big acknowledgement that it takes a village, sort of thing. I would say in this, I'm not calling this project this level, but the same way that Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, it is Bela Fleck, but he would be the first one to say it's not.
Yeah.
It's not him at the same time.
Yeah.
So if that makes sense.
No, it does, absolutely.
And it came, I wrote this song called Repotting Plants that won't be out likely for a long while. I'm starting the second record because I'm insane, but I'm hoping to have it on that. But but there's a line in it. I won't give away, but the reference is to a Pretty Big Garden.
Okay.
And I've been playing it as the bookend to all my live sets around this project.
Yeah. And the people that are in the Pretty Big Garden, are they people that you've played with a long time? Is it people that you've just met and say, hey, I connect with you, why don't you be part of this program?
Mostly old friends.
Old friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly people I've played with in other bands, or played with them casually just for fun. I can run you through, but my buddy Tyrus Watson, he's based in Arizona, and he's been a fan from afar for a while of what I'm putting out, and we tentatively talked a few different times about trying to do stuff, and then about 2 years ago, a year and a half, when I started actually recording this record, I went to Tyrus and said, look, I'm going to start something now. No matter who's involved, I want you to be involved if you want to, and he was really excited about it.
Wow.
So we kind of started the process, and he was very patient as I was learning how to be my own audio engineer and the audio engineer for most of my friends that play on the record. And then my partner Lauren sings awesome harmonies. She's featured on a bunch of stuff. My buddy Eric Avey plays a lot of the bass on the record, upright and otherwise. And Eric is an old mentor of mine. He ran the first bluegrass jam that I ever regularly attended, and then eventually when he stopped running that, I would be his on-call person to run the jam. Just a mentor in that in a bunch of different ways, but we've played tons of gigs together and have become good friends. And he was also, I've been in and out of so many bands that bands more often fizzle out than they don't, and that's just the reality.
Sure.
And it's not anything bad necessarily. It's just kind of what happens.
Right.
Life happens. But I've had the experience of often being the most dedicated member of a band, and Eric, around the time I was debating starting this project, was very much pushing me towards, you need something that you have 100% of final say in, because of just where you're at artistically. So Eric is involved not just playing bass, but a whole heck of a lot in the mentorship world.
Wow.
Then my buddy Joe McAnulty, he plays fiddle throughout the record. Joe, the first time we met, we were playing the same festival. He was with a different band in Connecticut, and the band I was with was a four-piece. We didn't have a fiddle player at the time, though, and I like to always mix things up. And I told Joe, why don't you come sit in for 2 or 3 songs? We met and jammed and, really hit it off and swapped numbers. Yeah. And, now he's the on-call fiddle player. Alan and I, he ended up playing.
And we're talking about Alan Combs, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Alan Combs ended up playing on this because we became such good friends through Tango and Crow, and now we're both playing on each other's solo stuff and endeavors, and because it makes sense, and that's what I think. It's weird in small towns. People get weirded out by the incestuous band thing, but that's what all the pros do. Yeah. Like all the pros, when they want someone to play something, they don't care who it is, and they don't care if they're in 7 other projects. Right. They want them. They're their friend, and they want them to be playing the part that makes it on the record. Right. And then actually, my friend Anna Jordan, she's not on this record, but has been a big influence of mine, and we've just been friends over the years. She's from Lewisburg. Amazing songwriter, now based in Chicago, but she put out an EP a couple years ago that her friend Andy Krull played pedal steel on, and Anna linked up Andy and I and said, this would be a really good fit. Just so you know, here's your numbers to one another. Yeah. So Andy ended up playing a big role on this record as well. Their pedal steel playing is amazing.
Wow.
And Jason Meshka, we played a pickup wedding together. He's an amazing saxophone player, probably the best ear I've ever witnessed in person. He played some of the shreddy songs on here that are very hard right the first time he heard them. which is wild. He's from a band called Yam Yam, so Jason and I are buddies. And,
Cool.
So it's very much, the Pretty Big Garden thing is very much this crazy mashup of...
So you again, you've anticipated my next point in that this sounds like a pretty big garden of just like a bunch of different influences, a bunch of different directions these people bring to the party. You know, a bunch of different things they just kind of bring to the party. And I think it speaks well to you that, you know, you know, these kind of people find, you know, seek you out and you seek them out, but they're willing to, you know, come and be part of this pretty big garden. So I think that speaks a lot about you as a person.
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, because I spent a lot of years wondering if I was the problem in, you know, band type settings.
Mm-hmm.
And the past 2 years have been really beautiful in the sense of just having so many close musician friends that are just so... I mean, this is the first record for the project, and it's also the first record I've made where I think everyone involved with it is like way more excited than I've been about it, which is really cool to see. And just arguments over what songs should be singles, and just, you know, the people involved are just really happy for me.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I haven't felt like I've had from the community and scene at large. Really, I've always kind of had to get out of town and do my own thing.
Yeah.
And it's not until recently that I've felt sort of accepted in the place I come from. And there's a banjo player named Danny Barnes I respect a lot. He's retired now from the road, but spent a lot of time touring with a band called Bad Livers, and he kept a cool music blog for quite a while. And I remember reading through one of those one day, and he had some piece of advice about, you know, it may be the reality that if you're lucky, you can do 1 or 2 successful shows in your hometown per year until people can't ignore you anymore, and they're going to come check it out no matter what. And that's not, doesn't mean you're not onto something. It just might be how it is.
Right.
So yeah, it feels good to have a cool community of friends behind this stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we talked about who's involved. Now talk about the production, because you Bottle to Bottle was recorded live at WITF. Talk about kind of the production and how you approach this. You know, the concept of the album.
Yep.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the my big rule and thought going into this record was I've tried to approach things thematically before, and it hasn't worked. So my big production approach in general was taking each song by song and just trying to leave a lot of space and time for thinking and workshopping what does this song need to best serve just the song as a song. That isn't just me playing and singing it by myself.
Right.
Like what will elevate this in the best way.
Yeah.
Untitled 4 is like the most stripped down, least produced song. It's myself playing guitar and singing, and Andy playing pedal steel.
Okay, and that's the first song. That's the song we let off the podcast with.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, it's like one of those interesting scenarios.
So that's just
where,
you and the pedal steel.
Yeah, acoustic guitar, vocals, and pedal steel, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's one of those cool scenarios of, I sat down and added banjo to it, I added some harmonica, and we debated some fiddle parts, and then I stripped everything back and said, no, this is way better, just really mellow.
Yeah.
And then there are songs throughout the record that were cut fully live. There were also songs that, you know, Mozambique was cut live as a trio of Alan on guitar, myself on banjo, and Eric on bass at a rehearsal. I brought my recording rig and recorded all of it.
Oh, wow.
And we record a bunch of that sort of stuff because you need options. It's hard to do things on the spot all the time.
Yeah.
And I had come up with this like weird reggae intro, and Alan was the first guitarist that could pull it off that I had played with, which is really cool. And like that one was cut live with the three of us, but then Tyrus added drums in post, and they sound amazing.
Wow.
We were barely tight enough for drums to be added in post, you know, just the right level of speeding up. and pedal steel was also added after the
Really?
fact. Yeah.
Okay.
And there was fiddle added to that, but then I took it away. Another sometimes things need stripped back sort of approach.
And full disclosure, Tanner just gifted me the copy of the CD. I have not had a chance to listen to it yet. So that song is going to intrigue me to listen to because pedal steel on a song that the intro is kind of reggae-ish.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
I love it.
It's a reggae intro into a blues breakdown.
Yeah.
Like very surf line
With
type.
pedal steel.
Pedal steel.
You can't-
and then the two-step to round it out.
All right. I love it.
Band drops out during the banjo solo. It's great.
Yeah. Good. All right. I'm intrigued enough now. This sounds. This was there a point where you were kind of thinking, this could get not messy, but
Yes.
I'm all over the map with this thing, and
Yeah.
I need. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Tyrus, my friend Tyrus and I talked a lot about, is this going to work? Mm-hmm. We were just trying to take things song by song, and I threw a lot of songs at this record that I love the songs, and I know people I've showed them to are like, this needs recorded yesterday, but they weren't going to work, and we just couldn't make them work, and it was just one of those scenarios of, well, this has to get kicked down the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really interesting. We had a lot of long conversations about, this might not work. It might not sound like a record at the end. And we were very pleasantly surprised that it did. And all the people behind the scenes that were listening from a professional standpoint or just like a player standpoint, weighing in on opinions and about mixes and masters and stuff. One of the major themes was, man, I don't know how this ended up working, but it does because there's such a crazy sonic range going on. But it does work, and it sounds coherent. It's also a good showcase of my live sets because when I play solo, I play banjo, 6-string, 12-string, and a harmonica at a minimum for every solo set, unless it's like 10 minutes or something.
Right.
But, if I got 45 minutes or more, I stretch out on a lot of different instruments.
Cool.
And then with a band, there's like a pretty wild range of stuff going on. This release show we just did, there were songs that were just me, or songs just with Joe and I, Joe playing fiddle. There were songs with the whole 5-piece. And it's a presentation of the songs in, I think, their coolest form at this time, at least.
Yeah.
And that was the goal with the record of, we don't need to make it all sound the same, and we don't need to have this coherent production approach. The coherency comes in taking each song by song and saying, well, what does this need?
Yeah.
And then it worked out. And it was actually surprising to everyone, I think, but it did seem to work out.
I am intrigued enough that the minute we leave here, I'm putting this in the CD player in the truck, and I'm going to enjoy this. So we're going to get really into the technical rabbit hole here. What did you use? You went to different places to record this.
Yeah, I don't.
What were you using?
Yeah. I don't have a studio space. So at the time when I started, and my partner Lauren and I were living in Manassas, Virginia. Some of it was recorded in our apartment there. My parents still live in Mifflinburg, and I'm largely based up here and pay taxes up here. So. There were times I was up here for band stuff that things were recorded at my parents' house in their little sunroom, as long as the neighbors weren't mowing the grass. There were things recorded in Chicago by Andy. There were things recorded in the woods. So I have a mobile rig. I don't have a studio, which is like a blessing and a curse sort of thing, but I have a 4-channel interface, a bunch of Ear Trumpet Labs microphones that I really love.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. They treat us nice.
Good.
And some of it was recorded at the Elias Center, and then some at WITF Studio for their radio program.
Now, but are you? Is it like a little Porta studio, or are you doing it on a laptop?
Yep, laptop with a basic interface.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
it's pretty compact. Everything can fit in the trunk of my Corolla plus all my instruments.
Yeah.
So, I'm running a listening room series at the Elias Center right now that I started last year. We did 2 shows, and the goal is to do 4 shows this year.
Oh, good. Good.
But I'm recording all of those, and it's only because I have I don't want to say it's easy because it's a pain and it takes a while, but I'm recording all of them because I can. I have the mobile rig, and I can run it without power for about 2 hours or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's I've gone down the engineering rabbit hole, I think just enough that I want to be able to pull off my own things and also produce records for artists and friends of mine that have similar visions.
Yeah. So now the next song we're going to play is Ambulance. So that is, you said, the most produced? Or
this was Tyrus's baby, I will say, of this record. I put out a solo version of this when I first wrote it, and then it's a gutting song, and I was embarrassed to put it out. And I got, I would say, the most positive and also the most negative feedback I've ever gotten about a song. Mm-hmm. And I got kind of tired of some of the negative feedback, and I said, fuck it, and I took it off the internet. And I, the couple dozen people that reached out and said, this song changed my life, I sent them an MP3 and said, here you go. But Tyrus had heard that song come out, and it was his favorite song of mine that I had ever put into the world. And he said, can I take, I want to drive the production ship on this one. And it sounds great. I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah.
So.
Now, before we play the song, you've mentioned Tyrus a few times. Do you consider that you've produced this? Do you consider that you both have produced this?
I consider it a co-production.
Okay.
I mean,
it sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean, it was very collaborative.
Yeah.
And I was making all the final calls, really.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a rule for myself at the start, because I've had a bad habit of not making the final call and just kind of letting other people's opinions run the show. Yeah, which is not. It's honestly not a great idea unless you're working with like a Blake Mills level producer that does it every day of the week,
right? Or
Rick Rubin or something. Like you shouldn't. If you have a vision, you should let it be a vision. Yeah. As a small artist, I think. Yeah. And Tyrus was very respectful of that. And this was very highly collaborative, and he would throw a lot of ideas at me that worked, and a lot that I would say, I don't think this works. Yeah. Yeah. So it was really kind and patient and awesome to co-produce this with.
Cool. Again, it's a pretty big garden.
Yeah, man.
All right, so
I will say on the pretty big garden note, because I'll forget to say it if I don't.
Yeah, good.
One of my favorite things about this new band name is, I think YouTube is still the number one spot people go to search for new bands that they haven't heard of. So when you type in Tanner Bingaman's Pretty Big Garden on YouTube, after you get past all the music results of our videos and stuff, all the stuff is home gardening tips and techniques and stuff. It's like ways to grow herbs in your kitchen, raised bed garden mistakes. It's like all this, which is really cool. It's a big passion of mine, and I think it that sort of thing makes the world a better place. And I only found that out yesterday. It got pointed out to me, and I was like, that's really neat.
You're in good company.
Yeah, for a band name to kind of, I don't know, maybe it will spur someone into that world. So.
All right. So this is Ambulance from Tanner Bingaman's Pretty Big Garden. At first album, Everything and Nothing, here on the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast.
Hey, Dad, are you proud of your sons? I see you haven't called 911. I've been trying so hard not to worry your heart. I don't want you to call the ambulance, 'cause I took too many pills again. Hey, Ma, I know you haven't been well. You don't want company when you're going through hell. But if it's any consolation, I've been seeing things again. Thought I had it figured out before, but I don't know anymore. I might need some help, please. I but mostly I'm just mad. All the memories that made me me. I wish I never had. I wanna be mad happy, but mostly I'm just mad. All the memories that made me me. I wish I never had. I wanna be mad happy, but mostly I'm just mad. All the memories that made me me. I wish I never had. Hey Dad, are you proud of your sons? I see you haven't called 911. I've been trying so hard not to worry your heart. I don't want you to call the ambulance, 'cause I took too many pills again.
Ambulance, biggest production on the Everything and Nothing album, correct?
Yes.
Biggest production. So, what is next? I mean, this. How long did it take you to fully to do this album from start? That's going to be a hard question. I'm thinking from start to finish. How long did it take you to do
Once
this?
the recording started, I would say a little over a year and a half.
Okay.
And that was last year. I played over 120 gigs. So it was during all that, the bulk of it. And yeah, year and a half, 2 years, something like that.
Wow.
So I'm working on the next one already. I mean, honestly, the big hurdle for me, this record was largely DIY, but records are, even when you do most of it yourself, they're not cheap to make.
Nope.
And the big hurdle for me right now with the next one is trying to find funding. I'm applying for some grants and stuff because I took a big risk on this record. Is the first thing I put on vinyl, and it has to be paid off.
Yeah,
and it's
and for those of you that have never, recorded and produced and put out an album, it ain't cheap.
Yeah,
it ain't cheap, and especially if you're talking about vinyl.
Yep,
it ain't cheap either. So
for sure.
Yeah. So. But you said you're already started working on the next one.
Yeah, the ideas are flowing for sure.
Yeah.
There's one song done, but I'd like to have another full length. So yeah, I'm kind of roughly getting the wheels spinning and starting to throw around some recording ideas, and also just trying to see what I have some grant opportunities that I'm going to apply for this year, and just it's I take a big, it's a big goal of mine to, I'm not very well off, but even in these creative endeavors, I like to have my friends and musicians taken care of. Even if they want to do things for extreme discounts, I still think it's appropriate for people to get treated professionally. So I try and do that to the best of my ability. Yeah. And I don't like to, it's not appropriate to ask someone to put 100 hours into mixing a record for free.
Right.
It's a big undertaking.
But
so.
in the short time I've known you, though, you're the kind of guy that they probably would do it for free for you.
Yeah, I think so. But I try to never have that as an expectation.
I agree.
And yeah, I hope this record opens up some opportunities that are.
In our small little sphere of influence with the radio station and the podcast, we're going to make every effort to make this happen for you. As I said, I've not known you for a long time, but until today it was mostly just kind of like acquaintance. But yeah, you're one of the good guys, and so
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, and again, I'm not blowing smoke. You're one of the good guys. You're very humble, but just in what you've told me and the concept of this album, you take care of the people that are around you, and that speaks volumes to me, and I think it speaks volumes to your art. And Alan Colmes, who I've known for a number of years, speaks very highly of you, so that speaks volumes.
Yeah, he's a good cat.
He is a good cat.
We're going to a show together tonight to see a couple friends.
Yeah. Well, you tell Alan we said hi. All right, so couple of boilerplate questions that we always ask in every podcast is, do you what was the first guitar? Like, what was the first guitar that you know?
Oh, it's on the record, man.
It is?
Yeah, the
so
first.
You still have your first guitar?
Yeah, well, the first one that was a gift from my dad was an Oscar Schmidt that, played like a broomstick.
Mm-hmm.
But that was not really the first guitar I played. The first guitar I played was his Goya, made, we think, in the late 70s.
Okay.
In PA when they were made in Martin. It's really, the markings on that guitar I haven't been able to track down accurate info on the internet, so I don't really know, but I played it next to a bunch of D18s and 28s, and it sounds the part. My dad got it back in the late 70s for $200, and that's still the guitar I play in most shows. It's a beater, and it's hard to... there's a lot of sweetened tunings to make things intonate properly with that guitar, but it's the guitar on most of the record.
Yeah.
And then I play a 12-string that's an Alvarez that was also a gift. It was an old childhood friend. We grew up together in diapers. He bought a 12-string around the time that we all were playing 6-string, just to be different. None of us knew anything about guitars or 12-strings, and we realized, like, oh man, this is a hammer and impossible to fret. We didn't know about open tunings or anything. Yeah. So he kind of, never took up playing that thing very much, and it sat in his parents' basement until long after all of us had moved on. And I put word out actually on Facebook one day saying, hey, I'm looking for a skateboard and a 12-string. If anyone has any cheap leads, I'll trade you, or, let me know what you need. And Sean hit me up. Actually, Elias on this record is named after his son, because it was the first song I wrote with that 12-string.
Oh, no kidding.
It was one of those like songs that popped out, took 10 minutes to write, but it's really hard, and it took a lot of years to like play it properly.
Yeah, and you're lucky because I've played a number of 12 strings that play like skateboards.
Oh man, this thing plays gnarly. I capo it up super high to make it like playable, and I only play it out of open D and D minor usually.
Now, do you down tune it at all, or?
Open D.
Okay, all right.
Yep. So it's in a slack tune.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Because I started with my 12 strings, like tuning it down a half a step, just so that I wouldn't get the
tension issues,
tension and all that.
Yeah.
So first guitar was a Goya. So in the 12 string, is there a piece of gear that you got rid of? And I think I already know the answer to this. That you got rid of that you would love to get back.
I think you asked me this before, and I think I said, and I would still like to have this back. I think I said the first like beater banjo that I had, because it would be nice to. I'm always wanting a band. I care about the only banjos I have right now, and they're not like you're learning to play banjo, here you go type banjos.
Yeah.
Like when the drunk guy comes up to me at the bar and says, hey, I play a little banjo, I have to like politely say, well, this is not the one for you to play a little banjo on, because this is
so do
my
tell. What are you playing?
But it's a Bishline.
Oh, wow.
Custom made in Oklahoma.
Damn.
Rob Bishline. He's an older cat. I don't know how long I'll be making banjos, so it's special to me.
Wow.
And I just started in a sort of endorsement deal with Deering Banjo Company. They're based in California.
Yeah, I've got two.
Nice. Yeah, they're awesome. They make really great starter banjos. Yeah. I'm playing one of their Vegas right now, which is one of their open backs.
I don't know what it is about you, but I was going to say, when you said, this is not the banjo you want to play a little banjo on, I'm envisioning one of their Vegas.
Yeah.
So that's what popped in my head, that when you mentioned that, I was like, like a Vega or something like that.
Yeah, so cool. I play one of the Deering Vegas for a lot of the old-time stuff I do.
So have you met the Deerings?
Yeah, I visited their the shop.
I'm forgetting their first names, husband and wife.
I don't remember.
I don't. Yeah, sorry about that, Deerings.
I should know that, but most of this
it's Greg.
interface just
Greg?
happens
I think
through
it's Greg.
through the phone, or it is Greg.
It is Greg, but I can't remember his wife.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think the daughter is kind of taking over the company.
No, it's a cool company though,
Yeah,
and I went to their showroom 2 years ago when I was in California and played a bunch of their banjos, and we just kind of briefly talked about some ideas.
Yeah.
And then that's supposed to start up a little more formally this month.
Okay,
so,
cool. We'll keep our eye out for that and plug that too.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
cool. It's the big draw for me was that I can get steep discounts for friends and students that are interested in banjos.
Good.
So it's a little.
Now be careful who you say that to.
Easy. It's an easy give back thing for me. And, I have a grand goal. I actually just wrote a grant for. This was a very small part of it, but part of it was. I have a kind of quirky, weird idea to try and find funding to get a bunch of starter banjos into high schools, because there's always guitars available, it seems, but I've like there aren't banjos at schools ever in any of the music programs, and a lot of folk instruments are like that. Like you don't find mandolins very regularly in high schools, just those sorts of things. So I have this long-term idea of trying to find a way to get 100 banjos out to schools at some point, which would be neat.
Yeah.
I don't know if the instrument I would have back. Yes, I was thinking.
Well, you said the beater banjo that you started.
Yeah, just to be able to lend out to.
Do you know where it's at? Do you have any idea?
No, I have no clue. I sold it on consignment because I needed the money when I got a proper banjo.
Yeah, but nothing's impossible. Peter Frampton got his Gibson custom back after crashed in an aircraft. They had a plane crash. It burned, and he got it back. McCartney got his Hofner violin bass that was stolen in the early 60s. So nothing's impossible.
Yeah.
So, and this is a personal question I'm going to ask you. What's your where do you fall on the 6-string banjo?
I think guitars sound better if you're going to play it like that.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, that's all I'll say. I've put so much time too into making how I play banjo and how I set up banjos take on a lot of the sweetness of guitars that I like anyway. So I don't know. For me, it's like if you're going to play a 6-string banjo, the guitar probably sounds better anyway. So
I like that. You're honest. I love it. Okay, so the last...
Not to knock them, just to say.
No. Well, now, and correct me if I'm wrong, on the history of the history of the banjo as an instrument in America, I think the 6-string wasn't it popularized first?
I think the 4-string was.
Okay, I'm thinking
the tenor banjo setup.
Okay,
which was strummed, played in the plectrum style, and a lot in the classical and jazz world.
Okay.
Dixieland, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff.
Okay.
I think that was mostly 4-string banjos.
Okay,
though.
all right.
Because a lot of the old pre-war banjos that are worth, insane money now, like $100,000, they're 4 strings that people convert into 5 strings.
Okay. Yeah, I'd read somewhere that the 6-string was actually an instrument back in the early, the turn of the 18th into the 19th, or as you were, the 19th into the 20th century.
Yeah. You could be totally right. I'm not super accurate on the history stuff. I will say,
you're out there asking.
I usually tell people when people come up at shows quite a bit interested in banjos, and I got an old banjo I'd like to learn, and I tell them not to because it'll ruin their life, and that's all they'll think about and want to put their time into.
Yeah. It's an intimidating instrument.
It's
because
weird.
It really is an intimidating instrument because the people that are really well known for banjo they're virtuosos. And it's intimidating.
You have to almost play at a professional level to not be annoying.
Yeah.
Banjos are really cool because if you can learn a little, clawhammer, bum ditty sort of thing, you can sound really good in a simple way and play a bunch of simple stuff.
Right.
But then the leap from that to playing anything in any band setting is a massive learning curve.
Have you ever, and this popped into my mind, but I have another question I want to ask. Have you ever heard the version of The Harder They Come by the Jerry Garcia Band featuring Bella Fleck.
I don't think so.
Dude, you've got to listen to that.
Okay.
So it's a Jimmy Cliff song. It's it's kind of a reggae thing, but Bella Fleck comes in and does this whole jam solo with Jerry and the band. It's really good. I will send it to you. And
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, see what you think. Okay, so that leads into who's like your banjo. Like who do you not look up to, but like who's your inspiration? Like
I don't know. I mean, I drew a lot of inspiration from friends early on for sure.
Okay.
Anthony Hannigan's passed away, but he was best known as a mandolin player. He had a big influence on me when I first started trying to actually study banjo, like be able to play things on it more than out of the key of G, and just be able to sit in on any jam sort of setting. He had a big influence on me. Also, my buddy Steve Leonard from Serene Green. Steve is, I always say, as far as three-finger ripping banjo playing, by far the best in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I even sometimes have people call me for sessions, and I'll say, it sounds like Steve. You should go to Steve. So shout out to Steve Leonard.
Okay.
Steve was nice enough at a festival one time we had never met, and I was sitting in on a banjo workshop put on by Dave Cabbage, and both of them sat with me and just, afterwards could tell, I think they could both tell that I had enough intuition that they could give me some things and I would run with them, and they taught me just some conceptual things within 30 minutes that I worked on for a really long time about melodic banjo playing and cross-string playing and stuff. And then I went to, it was a lot of, like, I got involved in the old-time and bluegrass scene a little bit and started meeting people and just wanting to be able to play more things on the fly. So when I was sitting down and practicing, I was sitting with a banjo and improvising in all the keys for hours on end, and not necessarily learning a bunch of stuff note for note, but like spending a lot of time fretboard mapping and feeling comfortable wherever I am on the neck. And then, playing in bands, there was, I was in a band called Seldom Said No for a while that hasn't really broken up. They just kind of stopped playing out. That was a fun project though, and it was, they kind of got revitalized by my banjo playing. It was really fun for me to have to learn 4 or 5 hours of new stuff, and I pretty much learned it all on the fly.
Wow.
Like there wasn't a ton of, working out solos beforehand. But I was a good enough player at that point, and they gave me a really good excuse to put a bunch of time into playing banjo. And then I was lucky enough during my farming years I went to the first. This was pre-COVID, so it was a while ago now. But I went to the first Bela Fleck Banjo Camp Summit. It was like a week or two long summit of banjo players from all over the world. Like 100 students, class sizes of 15 or 20 people sitting in rooms that are, lectures around banjo with Bela Fleck, Tony Trischka, Kristen Stott Benson, and like a bunch of guest teachers that are all, world class, top 50 players in the world for sure. And and there was a lot of stuff. I met a lot of cool students. Trey Wellington I met there. He's making waves right now, and I've followed his stuff and style. Victor Furtado, he sat with me and we jammed into the wee hours one night when he could play absolute circles around me. He was kind enough to show me some stuff. And there's a fella named Andy Pond that he turned me on to a lot of the Eastern sounding stuff I did just by showing me one scale and then saying, now go and find that anywhere you want to play it. That was a multi-year endeavor. So there's a lot of, I've not taken formal lessons, but there was a lot of, over the years, a lot of people just being nice enough to throw me a nugget that they knew I didn't know about. And then me just having the gumption to pursue it. And,
I'm going to circle back to that concept after I'll ask you the last question, formal question of the interview. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I think the main thing is this record officially comes out on all the stuff, cassette, CD, and vinyl, June 16th, and including streaming services. pre-orders are live now, and the vinyl release show is at Hub City Vinyl in Hagerstown, Maryland.
Okay.
That's the big one. It's with a full band, and 2 of my friends are opening the show. And
Cool.
It'll be a good time.
All right.
And I think the other main thing is if you want to keep up with this stuff, my website is tannerbingaman.com, and the emailing list is the best spot for sure.
You have a Patreon page?
Yeah, I got a little Patreon. That's under Tanner Bingaman as well.
Okay.
If you're looking to do a deep dive on my recording history, that's kind of the spot to
We
go.
will link each of those in the podcast description that I think filters over to the Apple and the Spotify and all that as well. And we will begin featuring Tanner's music off of this album on the radio show coming up next week. What I want to circle back to is something you said. People, would throw you some nuggets. Even people that are playing that are better. More.
Yep.
But
Always better. That's the key.
and that's the key. But what I wanted to circle back on is that you strike me as somebody that will do that for like a guy like me that's is very novice on. You sound like you're just that kind of person.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've tried to pass that along.
Yeah.
I do lessons, and I don't pursue it very much, but I do lessons when people come to me and say, I really want to study something with you. But yeah, and even with like Alan and I do that for one another all the time. Us playing together, I would say us being at a similar level we push one another in a lot of the right ways.
Yeah.
And he does stuff on the guitar that lays out like a monster. It's so hard to play on the banjo. And I do things on banjo that is, takes him months to work out on guitar, and it's great because we're pushing each other in those ways. And a lot of those things are little conceptual things that you can explain to someone in under a minute. And if you can explain it in a simple way, you can take that onto an instrument, and you got 12 keys and also relative minors and all the other craziness to explore. And then you get into open tunings, and it's like you got a lifetime of work ahead of you if you want to dig into stuff.
Yeah.
And improvising has been very big for me, like just spending time. I had enough cool people at the beginning of getting serious about like becoming an instrumentalist, not just a strummy songwriter. And both of those things are really awesome. But studying an instrument as like playing instrumentals is a lot different in my brain than sitting down and writing songs. It's just different approaches.
Well, if you get into a good jam, it's almost like writing a song on the fly.
Yeah,
if you get into
sure.
like a good improvisation or a jam, no matter the instrument you're playing on, it's almost like writing a song on the fly.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
Yep.
That is a lot of fun. One other thing, because what I wanted to say is, there's two kinds of musicians at like a jam or a song circle. It's the one that has no time for the new, the guy that's just or gal that's just learning, and then there's the person, and you strike me as being that will take them aside. Here, let me show you this, and take that and run with it. So
yeah, I love that stuff, and I just had 2 weeks ago someone that opened a show I was playing said I would really love to jam, and I said that's cool.
Yeah.
If you come to me, I'm more than happy to sit down and have a jam.
Yeah.
Politely, my schedule's way too insane to drive 2 hours to you. But if you want to come to my apartment, I'll show you whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so I think there's really nothing bad to come of that.
Right.
I think
and it encourages, and you never know who you're encouraging.
yeah, man.
You
The
know, and that's-
weird, the cliche sharing is caring should apply to Victor Wooten is one of my. I've never met Victor Wooten. But Victor puts on all those great camps.
Yeah.
They're on my list for next year. I want to make time to go to some. But I have at the top of my lessons page, the first thing I usually tell people is go by and read the music lesson by Victor Wooten. It teaches you all the stuff you need to be a good musician, and it all translates to being a good person as well. And Victor has something in that book about, if everyone that wanted to learn an instrument got to hang out every week with someone that was world class, there would be 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times the number of world class musicians around. And there's a lot of exclusivity in scenes that is like detrimental to the development of music as a whole, and it should be this bigger picture thing. It's not. Music is the closest thing I have to a religion, and there's no you can't break down why it makes you feel the way you do, but
and there's nothing like proselytizing on music. You know? I mean, it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to close things out with the song Mozambique. Tee that up for us, my friend.
Yeah, this is the wild cut, half live, cut half not live, with the reggae intro, blues breakdown, two-step, Hungarian minor, shred fest. Andy crushes the blues break on this.
Okay.
And came up with some harmonies I never would have came up as well on pedal steel, which is really cool. Also, I was a shout out to the Seldom guys. We were playing Wind Gap Bluegrass Festival last year. Nice big festival, cool stage, very legendary in the bluegrass scene.
Yeah.
And we hadn't played together in a hot minute, and we were playing this tune, one of the harder tunes in the set. They will happily admit for them, and they misread a signal and thought that I was stopping the song when I was actually going to take my solo. So the whole band dropped out during my banjo solo.
Oh.
And so I just kept playing. And they came in, mostly in time at the next downbeat. And I remember in the moment thinking, because I was trying to record this tune and figure out how, I remember in the moment thinking, oh, that's really cool. If we could have that, fully pulled off in a tight setting, that would be it. So that's in there too.
Oh, cool.
It's a happy mistake sort of thing that ended up being fleshed out as a proper idea on the record.
Cool. That's I mean, it's serendipitous, man. That's cool. That's cool kind of stuff. So we're going to close things out with Mozambique. Tanner Bingaman, man, I am humbled to be in your. No, I'm not blowing smoke, man. I am humbled to be in your presence. You are legitimate. You are authentic, and you are just. And the little time I've gotten to know you here, you're just a great guy. And
Thanks,
whatever we can do, as I said, we're gonna help you out, because you're just one of those guys that you feel good about helping out because you help other people out.
Yeah. It's a good time.
All right. Well, again, thank you, my friend.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
and,
this was fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And a big shout out to Amami Cafe here in Lewisburg for providing the background ambiance to this episode. We're going to close things out with Mozambique. My gosh, enjoy this. I am so pumped to listen to this. So Tanner Bingaman, Pretty Big Garden, Everything and Nothing, Mozambique, closing out this episode of the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast. Mozambique from Tanner Bingaman's Pretty Big Garden album, Everything and Nothing. And what a great treat. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast. Epically talented Tanner Bingaman. And again, thank you to Amami's Cafe in Lewisburg for allowing us to sit down and chat with Tanner for a little while. Great place, great coffee, great pastries. Get down there and check them out. Really great place. Hey, thanks to the Clark McLean Band for their song Feed, which we use not only for the podcast, but also for the Rec Room Radio Hour, heard each week on WXPI Community Radio from Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And while you're at www.wxpiradio.org, please consider making a small financial contribution to our radio station to keep doing what we're doing. Hey, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, I am Michael Lundy asking you to don't fret, stay tuned, and play nice until the next episode. Bye-bye.